Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome back, Sparklers. Welcome to another edition of Mosaic Sparks. So glad that you are here. This one here is a special edition as we are going live on different platforms. Hey, I have an incredible guest for you today. Her name is Judith Colletti. She's an entrepreneur based in Illinois who helps people rediscover their purpose, build momentum, and take bold steps towards the lives that they want. Her work is rooted in a simple, empowering belief: it is never too late to start, reinvent, and pursue meaningful change. Through her coaching, messaging, and motivational guidance, Judith encourages ambitious adults to break free from limiting narratives and turn dreams into actionable goals. Her motto, "Don't let your age be your cage," reflects her focus on confidence, reinvention, and sustainable personal growth at any stage of life. Doesn't that sound exciting? Aren't you ready to start that reinvention journey? So help me welcome to the stage my guest, none other than Judith Colletti. Hey Judith, welcome to the stage. How you doing? How you doing?
How am I doing? Woo, woo, woo.
Awesome.
I am ready.
A little bit about awesome. Tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do as we get ready to jump into this incredible episode on Mosaic Sparks.
First off, I'd like to reiterate that I help professionals and entrepreneurs rediscover their purpose and confidently pivot into their next chapter, regardless of their age. You can never be too old. You can never be too young. And I really love helping people. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. At 62 years young, I founded Priority Medical Transport. And I've been doing it for about 3 years now. And we're just grooving and rolling and moving forward.
I love that. And you know what I love is, and as we get into the interview, as you mentioned, that you just started another company. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? So at 62, what would make someone want to go ahead and start a company? So let's talk about that.
Well, what happened is we moved from Elgin to Rockford, and my son bought a house with a 3-generational living situation. And I got a job because I didn't know anybody. And I got a job driving a school bus, driving medical transport, and transporting handicapped children to and from school. So I took the medical transport job. And what happened is after 3 months of doing it, I guess my boss didn't read my resume to know that I was a serial entrepreneur. And I told my son, we can do this better on our own. Let's start this company and let's move forward.
I absolutely love that confidence. And you know, what was great about your story is, you know, how you were able to bring your son along with you. So as we're on that vein about, you know, starting that next chapter, if you will, many women reach a season where they have accomplished a great deal, yet they still feel called to do something new. How did you recognize that your next chapter required a different type of courage?
Well, I think that courage and confidence go hand in hand with each other. And I believe that I just needed to be me, and it wasn't an employee for somebody else. It was the owner and operator of a company.
Awesome. Now, you talked a little bit about you founded Priority Medical Transport, which is in an industry where reliability, compassion, and leadership can directly affect someone's quality of life. What experience showed you that this business needed to exist? And what has built in this business taught you about serving people with dignity?
I believe that no matter what walk of life you are, you deserve to be treated with respect, professionalism, and safety, especially in this business. Um, we do a different type of medical transport. We do insurance and Medicaid transport. So it's kind of off the beaten path. There's not too many companies that want to deal with the state of Illinois and Medicaid. So we take people from little kids to mid age to seniors. And we don't do wheelchairs, we just do ambulatory, where you have to be able to get in and out of our vehicles.
I love that piece that you mentioned. You take little kids, because I don't think I've ever heard of an ambulatory type business that take little kids. And what you said is that you do something a little bit different. And back to that question, you know, what was the gap that you saw that you knew that you could fill in that industry? Was there a was there something that stood out to you that you said, I don't see any services out there that deals with little kids? So what is it that led you to the business model that you currently developed?
Working for another company gave me the insight, the driving insight. And I got to
Mm,
see how they transported, who they transported, and why they transported. And
mm,
they weren't the they weren't the most professional company around.
okay.
So I wanted to bring more compassion and more I don't want to say love because you don't they're in your car for a short period of time, but I've had riders for over 2-3 years now.
Judith,
So I get to know them. They get to know me.
that's definitely love. I mean, you could definitely say that, because if you dealing with someone over 2-3 years, I can imagine the conversations that happen in the van is a plethora of different conversations.
Well, we know a lot about each other. We know about our
Absolutely.
families. We know about our struggles. They know about my struggles. So it's I even there's one, and I'll tell you her name, and it's okay for me to tell you her name. Her name is Paula, and we even go out to lunch occasionally. And she's a great woman. She's older. I think she's close to 70, and she's just like a mom to me. She's concerned about my family. She's concerned about business. But I mean, she's also concerned about her family as well. And we have, even though she's in the car for about 12 minutes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and 12 minutes home. So I get to see her about 25 minutes. We have meaningful conversations. We've even prayed together.
I love that. I love that because the fact that you are transporting people to various places, whether it may be dialysis, the hospital, doctor's appointment, whatever it's them on their wellness journey. And here, what you're doing is you're bringing compassion to them in that. And you're giving them that type of dignity. I think that's absolutely amazing. We have Shar Burns that's on, because before I couldn't see the comments, I can see the comments. And thank you so much for that. And she says that it is an emotional attachment. Absolutely, totally agree. It is an emotional attachment. First you said that they're only in your car for 12 minutes, but then you mentioned the lady that you see her 3 times a week. You pick her up, you take her home, and you guys have gone out to lunch together. And I think that yes, you can definitely say the word love, and compassion. And here's the other part that I love is that in a lot of times women don't realize that in whatever job that they're in, that can be experience that they can use for another job, or like what you did is build a business. So you took what you didn't see and you filled an incredible gap for your clients, which I think is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So continue to do that. Is there anything else you wanted to share on that before I move on?
No, you can move on. It's 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 a special relationship that we have in the car, and it's hard to
Absolutely.
explain in words because there's a definite meaning. Each one of my clients is treated with loving, tender hands.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. So you have a famous saying, don't use your age as a cage. What's so special about that message? And how does that message resonate with you? And how now you want to make sure that you amplify that with other women?
Well, I
And
think it
how
started
has
when I was very young.
mm,
I think it started when I was very young because I started going to work with my dad at 8, 9 years old because he had his own business. So he's my first mentor, my first entrepreneurial mentor, and I truly believe. And then at 21, I had my first restaurant delicatessen, and then at 30, then I took over his family business, and because he died of dementia, but Alzheimer's, so I took over the family business there. So I think that I've had to reinvent myself numerous times throughout my life to fit the narrative of what God threw at me. So, and I'm more spiritual now, and I live a gratuitous lifestyle now more than I ever have before, because without God in my life and without gratitude in my life, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today.
wow, I nothing like gratitude, right? I love that. And yeah, you've been an entrepreneur over and over and over again. Now you said you started a delicatessen at age 21. Tell us a little bit about that. And in terms of when you started your business at age 21, what did that teach you as you moved along in your decade? So as you started your delicatessen business as 21 and your most recent business that you've started, in that gap, what are some things that you've learned along there? And share whether the wins, the pitfalls, the lessons. Share any of those gaps that you've experienced that other women that may be looking to start their business and they're 25 or 22, or even someone that's in their 40s. Share some of that with us.
At 21 years old, I learned how to create a business plan, put together, work with different individuals because I built it from the ground up. It was a lingerie store before I took it over and turned it into a delicatessen. So I learned a lot of things about business that you need to have before you even open the doors. My father actually bankrolled. He bootstrapped my delicatessen for me, and what ended up happening was I ended up getting pregnant with my first child 2 years later when I was 20 when I was well, I got pregnant within a year when I was 21, 22 years old. And then I had a second child. So there was no room for doing a restaurant and doing children all at the same time. So being Sicilian and putting family first, my brother took over the delicatessen, and I learned about failure. I learned about selling, but not letting go, and different. So it there's that's how I learned how to my coaching house because I have all different ages of my life. So it doesn't matter. A lot of people think don't let your age be your cage is more towards middle life or older age like I am. But I have the experience at different walks in my life, different times that I had to accomplish goals and budgeting and family responsibilities all at the same time.
What I appreciate is, as you mentioned, when you started the delicatessen, you had children, and as women, the different roles that we have, children, whether in early in our lives, we're children, we are a wife, we're mothers. Those titles normally supersede our dreams. So as we're talking about that, and as you started at 21, and then you started another business, you said in your early 60s, looking at those titles when you started when you were younger, what really is a significant difference? And I'll even ask you, looking back, would you, and it has nothing to do with the love of your family, that's not what we're talking about, because we know that's a given, right? We all love our family. We're not talking about that. But what I am talking about is, at that time when you became a mother, while you decided to open your delicatessen, do you think that, looking back then, if you had a mentor, maybe a female mentor, that may have gone through what you've gone through, you would have continued with your business? Do you think that would have helped, or no?
I think that I was given all the opportunity, but in my culture, family first. And there were a delicatessen restaurant is like I'm doing now, a 12, 14-hour day. So, and in the 80s, I mean, we're talking 1983 when this all happened, there was a choice to be made. And, I stayed home and raised my children with my husband until I was like 25, 26 years old, till they were old enough to go to preschool. Not really good at getting jobs, but I got a job driving a school bus so I could be home with them when they were out of school and I could do things with them at the same time. So, one of the things that I did discover in doing the podcast and speaking my story is, whenever I got to a situation where I needed to take care of myself and I needed to reinvent myself, I always turned to driving. And
Mm.
it's kind of funny, I've kind of labeled myself the woman whose wheels of steel, but I don't put that out there publicly. I only talk about it in podcasts. When I lost everything in 2018 and I lost my house and my car wash, I turned to Uber. So I went back to driving and I drove Uber all through COVID. So I've learned pain, failure, reinvention. It hasn't been all butterflies and unicorns over here. It's been a roller coaster. So I appreciate where I am today. I appreciate and I love where I am today, and I can say that I'm living my best life at 64 years old because of all of the experiences that I had since I've been very young and as I've grown through the years.
I love that. I love that. And I do think that no matter where we are, it is always a combination of the lessons and the wins and everything else, right? Because everything cannot be wins and rainbows all the time. There has to be some friction. And as we know, everything grows in friction. I mean, you think about a diamond, right? So a diamond is going to grow in friction. So there has to be some friction. What would you tell What would you tell a young entrepreneur coming up in 2026, or even someone in 2027, right? That is a young entrepreneur that's coming up, that they feel that, okay, I'm starting, and you've started a plethora of different businesses. You car wash, medical transport, delicatessen. So you have a wide range of businesses. What would you tell a young woman coming up, young woman or man, coming up, and they're just getting ready to start that business? They have that passion, they have that drive, because they have that youth. What are some of the things that you would caution them on as they're moving through this process for success?
Continue to love yourself first.
Mm, that's good.
Continue to love
That
yourself first. And because
that's
you can't
good.
pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely.
So jump on the roller coaster, enjoy the ride, but always keep your mindset positive as much as possible. And be in community where there's people that are going to also love you and be around you and be positive with you, which sometimes that's hard to find because being an entrepreneur is a very lonely game sometimes. So, your friends might not be able to talk to you or understand you. You might lose a few people along the way. But I would suggest to anybody that it's all internal and it's up here in your brain.
I love that. And we do hear a lot that the entrepreneurial journey is lonely. I've been an entrepreneur. My gosh, I'm for me, I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I've been an entrepreneur and always worked full time. I've been an entrepreneur, I want to say, since 19, oh God, since someone in the 80s, right? I'm always selling something. And community is so very important because, yeah, you have people around you that love you and they want the best for you. But if they don't have that mindset of where you see yourself, right? Because we all have a vision. And so where you see yourself, they one of the phrases that I heard several years ago is that God does not give your vision on a Zoom call. God doesn't give the vision on a conference call. He only gave you the vision. And so in terms of confidence, you have to be very confident and steadfast and actually pretty bullish moving forward in that vision, because only you can move forward in that vision the way that you see it. Now, I'm going to bring up, because as you know, sparklers, we're always connecting something with Disney, right? And so you know that I'm a big Disney fan. And the reason why I love Walt Disney so much is because, one, he had been fired from a job. He had dropped out of high school. So there's so many things about Walt Disney that I love, and especially when they said that he was not creative enough. The man that actually started the licensing process that we enjoy today, where companies and brands and so forth do all this licensing, came from Walt Disney. And so he had to be bullish in his belief and move forward, that the people around him that loved him and wanted the best for him didn't see it. So either you jump on the train with him and say, hey, okay, this is what this man believes. We're going to move forward along with him. So in saying all of that, and God did not give everyone your belief or your vision on a conference call or on a Zoom call. In your life, as you started your entrepreneurial journey at 21, in your life, was there pockets, periods in your life where you had to be bullish, where other people that were around you, people that loved you, that didn't see what Judith was building, didn't understand, not necessarily see, but didn't understand what you were building? Talk to us about that, and talk to us for that young person that's starting off. Talk to us about that that husband that may not have the support of his wife. Talk to that about that wife that may not have the support of the husband and the children. Talk to us about that.
Well, I left a marriage at 29 years old because we weren't on the same track. So he wanted to party and spend the money and have a good time. And I was working very diligently to move us forward and get back into an entrepreneurial type lifestyle. So, and it was a very difficult time. I had young children. They were between the ages of 6 and 8 years old. I'm lucky I had all boys. I think they're a little bit easier to manage growing up. Um, but it was a very difficult time to make that decision and to stick with that decision and be like, it's going to be us and we're going to move forward. And it's not just relationship. It's all kinds of relationships you use. I've lost friends, along the way because they couldn't support me. They said that I worked too much. I didn't have at my family interests. I lost family members who didn't understand. Um, I just think for me, being an entrepreneur, sometimes, and I will tell you, sometimes my children did have to suffer or stay with my parents or, because I was out working and I was taking care of the family and I was doing what I needed to do to better us and to move us forward. So when my father got ill and I had the car wash, um, I took over his role in the leadership of the family, took care of my mother, provided us. I've been a three generational for a very long time. I lived with my parents. I moved back in with them to be able to take care of my dad and my mom and my whole family. And that was a rocky road too, after being independent for so long and moving back in with your mom. That I can tell you some stories about that. But I believe that it's an yeah, I believe that it's an internal thing and you have to be true to yourself and you have to stay true to yourself. And that's how you survive in the entrepreneurial world.
Mm, that's really good. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage and takes a lot of confidence because one of the things that I heard Les Brown say, and I don't know who originated that phrase, but the graveyard has the most dreams in the graveyard because people have died with those things inside of them. And sometimes we may think that they didn't have the courage and they were afraid. But just like what you just said, you've lost friends. You had to get a divorce at 29 where you had young children. That takes a lot of courage now moving forward, knowing that your dream for yourself and your family is bigger than where you are right now. And look at you now. Your son is in your business with you. So it does take that type of courage and that type of confidence. Now, I want to ask you another question. When did you realize that your voice carried more power that you had been given it? When was that?
Boy, I was the co-founder of Mothers Against Gangs in Elgin, Illinois in the
Wow.
80s, early 90s. Took appearances on TV and I did things in schools. We talked to kids about gangs and we're educating family members about gangs. And that's when I realized that I had a voice. And that's when I realized that I was important. And as a side note and a joke, my granddaughter, who I love dearly, gave me a plaque that says, I'm a big deal. And I try to live up to that with
Absolutely.
her.
Yeah.
And she is my living legacy. She's my living legacy. And I want her and her children and her children's children to know that I walked this earth and that, I loved with my whole heart. And as hard as I work is as hard as I love.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yes, you are. You are absolutely a big deal. And I'm glad that your granddaughter has recognized that. So I don't think that you have to worry about she knowing and her children knowing because she's already shown you that, yeah, I already know my grandmother's a big deal. So that is something that will be carried on. I mean, I lost my grandmother at 19, and still to this day, I still talk about that woman. She's the reason why I started my business. She's the reason why I'm an entrepreneur. So absolutely, yes. So yeah, you have done an incredible job laying that foundation with your granddaughter. So yeah, I salute you for that and congratulate you for that. And the work that you've been doing, that your granddaughter even recognizes to give you your flowers while you are here. That to me is that's extraordinary. So for people like me and for others was never able to give their grandmother their flowers because as a teenager, I think for me, the entrepreneurial switch kind of kicked on um, in full force after I lost my grandmother. At an early age, I was selling stuff, but it kind of kicked in afterwards. But I never was able to verbalize to her, how I felt, and even I want to say maybe I didn't even have the language back then. But your granddaughter has done an incredible job. So yeah, I love that. I love that. What is something else that you want to share with us as we get ready to wrap up? And I'm so grateful for you taking the time to be on Mosaic Sparks with us, and as you're laying out your entrepreneurial journey, your beginning journey, and sharing different parts of you that other people can pick up and extract these different things for their lives. So, what is something that you want to share? And I may have one other question for you, but what is something else that you want to share as we're getting ready to wrap up?
That I'm sorry. I want to share that all of the listeners, if they leave a review, can get a reinvention audit for free and can get to where I go invention coaching. And I am blessed to have all the experiences that I have, and I like to share them with people.
Love that. Absolutely.
And I
Thank you.
like to
Thank you
walk
for
with
that for
them
listening.
and help their journey, some crying and holding their hand.
Love that. So you are 80 years old, and your granddaughter is holding a birthday party for you, as you mentioned about your granddaughter. She's holding a 80-year-old birthday party for you. And before you step up to the mic, what is what is it that you would want the room to what's the energy that you would want the room filled with at this 80th birthday party of yours that your granddaughter is giving you?
Excitement. I want everybody to be excited. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be laughing and joking. I want to be roasted. Realize I I just want to be roasted while I'm alive. Don't roast me when I'm not here anymore. Do it when I can hear you.
I love that. Judith, so you want to be roasted at your 80th birthday party?
Yes, ma'am. And you can be invited.
I love it. Oh my goodness. That is I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that they wanted to be roasted. I think that would be pretty cool. That Oh goodness.
Let's
Oh,
put
I
it
love
on
that. Yeah, let's put that out there. Like I've never heard anybody say that. So yeah, I love that.
not
So
on the
yes,
table.
go
Let's hear it while I'm here. here. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get it.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Now, as you know, I'm a Disney. I love Disney. So do you have a favorite Disney movie or character? And if it's not Disney, that's fine. What is a favorite cartoon? What's a favorite cartoon that you like?
Oh, I love Disney too, but my favorite, it fits right in with my mom because Tweety Bird was always flying around her cage, and Sylvester was always chasing her around and trying to catch her. So I love the fact of, you know, not not always doing things, not staying in the cage, not doing everything by the book, and kind of living freely and just moving forward with life.
And I would say not to be caught too, right? That's the main thing, right? Not to be
Yeah.
caught.
Don't mind losing a few feathers here and there.
Right. Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. Judith, thank you so much for joining me on Mosaic Sparks with all the sparklers. And I absolutely love everything that we shared. And as we get ready to wrap up, thank each and every one of you for joining us on this live version. We have not done a live version in a long time, and the podcast will drop next week on Apple and everywhere else that you can get podcasts. But this is just a live version that we wanted to do. So just want to thank everyone that have joined us. The comments that you've left, please leave any additional comments. Judith will come back and answer them. I will come back and answer them. And just thank you for joining us and sharing in this community. So as we get ready to leave, remember, we're going to have a QR code for you to get an audit from Judith. That's going to be a free gift to you. But as we get ready to leave, just remember, as Judith says, don't let your age be your cage, and has nothing to do with you being on the older side. It's for any age. So we will see you back again for another episode of Mosaic Sparks. So bye for now.